Hey, good morning. It's Patricia Murphy. It's Friday. This is Seattle Now. This week, a U.S. Amazon warehouse unionized for the first time in the company's history. Alaska Airlines needs more pilots and a contract with the ones it has. And starting next year, job listings will come with salary ranges. Vinh and Naomi Ishisaka from the Seattle Times are here to break it all down. But first, let's get you caught up. We have our three finalists for the next King County Sheriff. They are interim Sheriff Patty Cole Tyndall, who's been doing the job since January, Charles Kimball, Chief of the Killeen, Texas PD, and Reginald Mormon, who's a major with the Atlanta PD. We're appointing, not electing the sheriff now, so the final call is up to County Executive Dow Constantine. He'll make a pick early next month. An idea to connect West Seattle to Sodo with a gondola carrying people high above the street got a setback yesterday. Supporters of the West Seattle Skylink say it'd be cheaper and faster to build than light rail, but King 5 reports Sound Transit isn't on board the gondola train for a bunch of reasons. Among those, that it wouldn't link up with light rail service, couldn't carry enough people to meet ridership goals, and doesn't have a funding source without holding another public vote. And that was some lovely 70-degree sunshine yesterday. Now, how about some snow? Could happen this weekend. National Weather Service says it'll be cloudy with highs near 50 tomorrow, but temps will drop overnight. When the rain moves in, it might be cold enough for a dusting. Not going to stick around, though. It's spring. Forecast says partly sunny and 50 on Sunday. I am so glad it is Friday again. This week had weather for everyone. Wind, rain, sun, warm. The trees are budding. We could get a little snow over the weekend. I just love Pacific Northwest spring. Seattle Times columnist Naomi Ishisaka is here. Hey, Naomi.
Hi, great to be here.
Really glad you're here. Vinh is here, too. He's a food and drink writer for the Times. Good to have you back.
Thanks for having me, Trish.
So much weather this week. The wind on Monday was wild. I even slept with the windows open.
I have winter and spring clothes right now.
Yeah.
Just on the floor of the living room. That's how I change people.
This is the time of year where you really don't know how to dress. You kind of always get it wrong at some point during the day, for sure.
It's just bonkers. I mean, I'm looking out my window now and people are in shorts and T-shirts. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to tell me a couple of days it's going to be snowing?
It speaks to that saying, if you want to know what the weather is in Seattle, look outside, because every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it'll be something different.
Yeah. That proves itself to be true every year around here, every year. Big news about Amazon this week. The company's JFK 8 warehouse on Staten Island became the first in the U.S. to unionize. Company's been the white whale for union organizers here after last year's failed union vote in Bessemer, Alabama. That one, of course, still too close to call at this point. Things did not seem hopeful. But I am super curious where this leads, because the Amazon labor union drive was exceptional for so many reasons.
You know what was fascinating about this is the Amazon chief counsel with that blunder saying that union guy isn't smart or articulate. Like, where is he now? Like, what is the Amazon equivalent of Siberia? Because I kind of picture him like a warehouse sorting packages now as punishment. What a big blunder for a company that's supposed to be so disciplined and well run.
I think that incident just speaks to the fact that, this organizing drive was such a perfect example of underestimating, a group of workers, or underestimating, David and Goliath. Sometimes you think that you can just roll them over, but everything that they tried to do backfired, right? Like that quote backfired. Like everything they're doing to try to, marginalize and antagonize these workers has had the opposite effect.
Yeah, that feels like a very New York response as well. Having been born and raised on the East Coast, this scenario, company fires guy who leads the walkout, disparages him in an email that gets accidentally leaked to 1,000 people. So he grabs his best friend who still works there, rallies his coworkers, and houses the company. That's a very New York, authentic New York story to me. Don't mess with New Yorkers. You have thoroughly pissed off.
And Naomi and Trish, what's fascinating to me, and I still can't believe that this union formed, because let's step back for a second here. You recall, 3-4 years ago, all this talk of Amazon warehouse workers and drivers peeing in Coke bottles, no heat, no AC or whatever, all these issues. When I heard that, especially some of these stories that come out of Alabama, I thought they're going to unionize. These stories are just crazy. Surely they're going to unionize. And last year, the vote in Alabama did not pass. Granted, there was a lot of issues, and we have a second vote coming up. But I thought there was a slam dunk. And when that didn't happen, I'm just figuring Amazon is bulletproof. But new reality, right?
I think what's fascinating, though, is like both this Amazon labor union and then the Amazon Workers United here, it's like there are these independent unions that are really acting outside of the typical sort of labor union structure. And it's just been fascinating to watch. So if one of the primary arguments that Amazon has is that, these are outside organizers who are coming in, they're carpetbaggers, they don't really know the people, they don't know the workers, they don't know what's going on. And it just is the complete opposite of that, right? So it's kind of inoculated against one of the primary arguments. And you can see the impact of that. They're gaining this traction that I don't think, these bigger labor organizations who've been wanting to kind of get into Amazon, these workers know exactly, how to meet people where they are. They're doing cookouts, they're, meeting people at the bus stop. They know exactly where people are going to be. They know what they need. And that's been a fascinating thing to watch.
Absolutely. But at the same time, of course, Amazon's strategy, Naomi, because this small union is operating on a shoestring, is going to be to time this out, right? They may run out of money before they actually get to a contract, which they need to collect dues. So the road ahead is long for this small union.
It is, but I also kind of just wonder if, like Amazon Workers United, like it seems like they're planning to just go forward without any of those structures, without even dues collection, without any of these, things that we typically associate with union membership. And I think that's just, going to be really interesting to see how Amazon reacts to that.
Yeah. Yes. I'm wondering what it's like to be in the Amazon boardroom right now, in the PR team, wondering how this is going, because it feels like a lot of people are saying this is just a PR disaster for the company at this point.
And I don't think we can talk about this Amazon union issue without talking about the bigger picture of REI, especially Starbucks. Because look at Starbucks. It is a food service industry. And those are the hardest to unionize. Because if you're a barista, whatever, you don't like your job, you just move on. And for them to unionize, it's just an incredible movement. And look at how it shows, huh? He is going on a listening tour. Remember the last time he did a listening tour? It was his run for the president, exploring committee. How did that go?
I forgot about that, Ton.
Yeah, how did that listening tour go for him? Yeah, good luck with this listening tour.
Even President Biden stirring the pot this week with his message to Amazon about, well, he was speaking to thousands of labor leaders. By the way, Amazon, watch out, here we come. So interesting. I wonder how this is going to resonate, because so much is changing with regards to the labor force and the way people are thinking about what it means to do a job and what it means to enjoy your work and be respected for the work you do.
Oh, I think that's the backdrop of all of this too, is like the way things have happened in the last 2 years of the pandemic. I mean, people are questioning everything. They're questioning the nature of work. They're questioning their relationship to work. They're questioning what's important to them, how they want to spend their time, and I think that that's really, put a lot of things into play that might not have been the case a couple years ago.
Yeah. Fascinating time. In other labor news, there's a new law that'll take effect next year requiring businesses in Washington with more than 15 employees to post a salary range with the job posting. I wonder how this is going to go. Because, of course, salary negotiations are the worst, and you only get one shot, and most people are genuinely terrible at it, so come out on the wrong end of the deal.
I am in the minority in this. I don't get why this is such a big deal. Because if you look...
Really?
I mean, no, just because I think a lot of people post salaries already, for one thing. And two, there's a labor shortage, especially, if you look at all the restaurant jobs. They not only post details of salaries before they were required, but they also put very detailed, like, hey, on Friday and Saturday, if you work these shifts, you make $250 in tip at the minimum. They're very detailed. So I don't get this, because I think you can always work a way around this. Like, there's a range, right? Like, hey, be a, producer, and you can make between $80,000 to $120,000. whatever, right? But 120,000 being like the unicorn candidate with standards you will ever meet, whatever. I'm just, it's just weird. I don't think it's that big a deal.
Well, I disagree. I think that there's a long-standing history of pay inequality, especially when it comes to women and people of color, and you see that happening over and over again when it compounds itself, right? So they banned asking for salary history in 2019, which was a good step, but I think the way it's played out is you might ban salary history, but people of color and women still make less. And, and thinking about this question, I was looking into this, and Harvard Business Review reported that, well, it's hard to know exactly what the pay gap is. If you take equally qualified people doing the same job, people say that there's a gender pay gap of 10 to 20%. So these things are real. And I think there's, definitely in the restaurant industry, there's, posted salaries, posted pay ranges, but in a lot of white collar jobs, it's very opaque. One person can be making X amount, the next person could come in and ask for a different amount and get it, right? And the first person doesn't know that the second person got $20,000, $30,000 more. So I think there's very real equity issues at play when it comes to salary transparency. And what this effort does is help level the playing field a little bit.
I hear you, but I just think in theory, it sounds great. It's not so black and white. It's not, I hear what you're saying, but I don't think it gets us there. It's just posting a salary range, and it's just open to interpretation. And yes, Naomi, we're on the same page. I believe in equal pay. Women should get paid the same, but I just don't think it gets us there. That's why I don't think it's that big a deal.
Oh, a couple other things about that, though, is like, when I was looking into this, if women ask, say, for example, women ask for a raise, right? Like you ask for a raise, I ask for a raise. And studies show that I will be perceived as being pushy or difficult to work with, but you'll be perceived as being confident and capable and assertive, right? So it's like very much loaded. And the same goes true for different people of color. When they ask for what they deserve in their pay, some people are being penalized for it. Other people are being, put forward for it. So I think there's real equity gaps there that are just compounded when we don't have that kind of transparency.
And to your point, Ton, UW Foster School's David Tan he said something about that. Pay gaps, he said, are the accumulation of many years of stages of inequality. This is not going to be a simple fix. It is, a positive step, according to a lot of people. Of course, businesses have questions about, from the Times article, how much detail does a company need to put in that job posting? How much can they put in about benefits that you could get, like parking, the stuff that goes into your pay package that might make a difference? And also, to your point, does a less experienced candidate change the salary range in that job? So I think the most interesting thing about these labor conversations is that we're having them more, and that people are being open about their salaries with each other, which I think is a huge switch from years ago.
And I just want to give a shout out to one of our kind of local leaders in this space, Vu Le, who runs nonprofit AF, and he wrote a piece in 2015 titled "When You Don't Disclose Salary Range on a Job Posting, a Unicorn Loses Its Wings," which is funny, but it's also true in the sense that he really kind of led the charge in the nonprofit sector to including salaries on job postings. And it's really transformed that arena so that now if you are a nonprofit and you don't post salary ranges, you're kind of the outlier. And a lot of job boards won't even share your post if it doesn't include a salary.
I have seen that. Yes. Yeah.
And have you even checked like Twitter? Like there was a movement, I'd say 3 weeks ago, among freelancers and also writers to post their salary for everyone to see so that you can say, hey, this is what I got at the Washington Post. It's like some writer at the Washington Post printed that she was making $88,000 a year as a travel writer, I believe. So the movement is starting. And this goes with the union issues and what you're talking about in terms of posting salaries. It's all the same issue.
Yeah, I think the more we talk, the closer we get to where we need to be, right? About salaries and workplace issues, for sure. I hope neither of you have made spring break plans on Alaska Airlines. Of course, hundreds of Alaska flights canceled since last Friday, stranding thousands of passengers. Bags are scattered all over the U.S. Again, This is a labor story. This is a labor dispute between the airlines and pilots. This is the Friday Labor Edition.
What I didn't understand in reading that was, Alaska had said that it was because of a pilot shortage, but why is that pilot shortage only affecting them? Like if it was a industry-wide pilot shortage, wouldn't affect everyone?
Yeah.
And can I tell you, I am going to Peru next month. I just brought my plane ticket last week. And this is the first time where I brought a plane ticket where I didn't care about the price. All I care about was make sure it's not Alaska Airlines. Right? I'm dead serious. Because I actually went to Peru 3-4 years ago, and my connecting flight was Alaska Airlines to LA. So this time I'm going back to Peru, and I made sure. I felt like a big, like a baller. Didn't look at the price. All I care about was, hey, anyone but Alaska Airlines.
Oh no.
And I'm going on vacation in a few weeks on Alaska. So let's just hope.
and you should know, I mean, I am the type of guy who would risk my life on Spirit Airlines to save a buck or two. And here I am, forget you, Alaska Airlines. Don't mess up with my Peru trip. I'm out of here.
What are you flying to Peru?
I think it's Delta or Alaska Airlines. American.
American.
It's only a short flight, so I'm not worried about that. But,
I've been hosed on Delta, man. I have been hosed on Delta. It's a long time since I slept in the airport. I don't know if I would have that in me at this point. We just canceled a trip that my husband was supposed to take next week on Alaska, rebooked on another airline, and we're going to move that trip to the summertime. So, yeah, lots of swapping out going on here.
Yeah, and it affects us, Naomi, my colleague here, if listeners don't know. This week, like one of our editors was stranded because his Alaska Airlines flight got canceled. I only know because I was looking for him to ask him something, and he's like, did not reply. And then finally, I texted him. He says, hey, man, I am stranded in Carolina. They canceled my flight. Alaska Airlines canceled my flight. So it affects us. Oh, they'll feel it. I mean.
Yeah. Makes me wonder about summer travel and what's in store for us all. Gas prices are going to be through the roof. The airlines are going to be jammed up with pilot shortages, contract disputes. I think it's time to take the train. Let's leave it there, you two. Thanks so much to our guests, Tan Vinh, food and drink writer for the Seattle Times, and Naomi Ishisaka, columnist at the Seattle Times. Really great to have you.
Thank you so much, Trish.
Thanks, Trish.
Have a great weekend. Appreciate you listening. Caroline Chamberlain Gomez produced today's show. Matt Jorgensen does our theme music. I'm Patricia Murphy. Talk to you Monday.